Okay guys, this is chapter 3, lab 3-3. This is part 2. Basically this is the implementing OSPF, 2-area OSPF. Okay, so basically you've set up everything, all the routers are up and running, there's basic connectivity between them all. Okay, and then we'll get in here straight away and then do some setting up of OSPF. Now, so we'll jump onto router 1. We'll go to conf t, and then we go to router. What does the English say? Router. At the very least, I can spell it. OSPF 1 for the process number, and then network 10.1.12.0 0/ area 0 network I really am going to have to get this keyboard replaced. It's really that bad. Okay, so that's that part. Now I'll exit out of that. Now I'll go into loopback 1, interface for loopback 1, and then I have to set it up as OSPF network point to point. Okay, now the reason you do that is because the default behavior for OSPF for a loopback interface is to advertise a 32-bit host route. To ensure that the full 24-bit, no, /24 network is advertised, you have to switch it into OSPF network point to point. Basically, it's when it propagates that network, it's only just that specific IP, not a range. So it's looking at that and says, yeah, like if I went in and actually showed you. So here how it says loopback 10.1.1.1. What that should be is that should be advertise every IP address on this network exists 10.1.1.1.1 all the way to 254. But if you don't put that point to point, it'll only advertise that one IP. Okay, so there you go. So now now that's router 1. Now I'll just jump into router 2. Enable conf t, and then I do the same thing. So it's router OSPF 1 network 10.1.12.0 20. .0, that's correct. Network 10.1.2.0, and then the adjacency comes up, as you can see, area 0. Exit out of that. Now we go into the loopback 2, IP OSPF network point to point. Okay, now we verify if that's worked. Now show IP route. There you go, Shazam. There's the update from router 1. So if I go to show IP OSPF neighbor, and there it is. There's the neighbor. Okay, and then I just duck over to router 1. As you can see, it's formed an adjacency there. If I go to show IP route here, there is the network from router 2. Show IP OSPF neighbor, and there we go. There's router 2. Okay. So that's that bit done. Now we'll just Now we have to add the sub. Now that's area 1. Now what we need to do is add area 23. So we'll jump into router 2, show IP interface brief. Okay, so there you go. This is the 23 network. So we'll jump into conft, and then we go to router OSPF process number 1, and we enter in the network. So network 10.1.23.0 0000254 area 23 network 10.1.3.0 0.0.0.255 area 23. Now once again we go into the loopback. This is loopback number 3. Oh man, my hand. Okay, so it's IP OSPF network point to point. Done and dusted. So that should be. So if I go show IP protocols, OSPF 1, areas 1 and areas 0 and 23 are up and running. Okay, so now if I go, now we go to router 3. This is where all the fun and games occur. Just 1 second. Okay, this is where I've made a mistake already. So if I go into R2 here, and we'll show run. If you can see here, I have added a network that does not exist, and this is the 1.3 network, which is here. This should not be here. It has no place here. So I will get in here, and then I shall go no, and I shall select and remove it. So that's the three network that doesn't belong. Okay. Okay, so that's the 2 0 networks and the 123 network area. Sorry. Okay, so now that should be all up and running. Now we jump into the router 3. Now we go to conf t router OSPF 1 network 10.1.23.0 0.0.0.254 area 23. Now network 10.1.3.0 now here interface loopback 3 IP OSPF network point to point. Okay. Right, so now if I do a show run, that's right. Now that looks kosher, as the chosen people would say. Okay, show run. Now what I need to do here is see where I screwed up this. Yeah, see, there we go. On router 2, I also added in loopback 3, which should not exist. No, and this is how you remove a loopback. No, loopback 3. Show run. I doubt it would have made any difference to the network because it didn't really have an IP address, but yeah. For simplicity's sake, that's done. Okay, sweet. So now we go show IP route. Okay, show IP OSPF neighbor. And there it has two neighbors. Now if I jump into R3, so you show IP OSPF neighbor. And there it is. So it's formed a neighborship and an adjacency through OSPF. That's basically the basic OSPF implementation in this lab. Next, we'll be creating what is called a virtual link in step 3, but this is the completion of step 2. So check the other video out if you find me interesting, or yeah, if you just want to know how the labs work out. Thank you. Bye.